Okay, as you know, after every walkthrough, I like to do a coaching conference so that you and I can visit a little bit about the lesson and what you think, what your thoughts are, and some things that I might have observed. Okay, so I gave you a copy of the walkthrough form with some of my notes on it. So I was just going to go over that with you first. Some of the things that you see, I noticed from the lesson frame and in the power zone, I noticed most of the time you were at the front of the room, a couple times around the sides. Your frequent small group purposeful talk, you had some great, or two really good times, two great times that you asked the kids to turn and talk to their neighbor. So that was great. On recognize and reinforce, at the end of the lesson, the round of applause, and you commented that that was an amazing definition by that little friend. A couple other times during the lesson, I heard you recognize and reinforce good answers that they gave. It was obvious that you had your materials ready and that you were prepared and organized for the lesson. It was clear to me also that your procedures are in place and routines. The students, it appeared, have some clear behavior expectations that you've got in place also. I liked your redirection of student behavior. When you said voices off, I like how you said that, rather, be quiet or no talking, that you said it, that you phrased it that way, voices off, so you can listen to the directions. I liked that. And of course, your use of technology, the makey and the computer. The students were engaged, and I think they were excited to use the makey. I don't know if that's the first time you've used that with that particular class or not, but they seemed excited about that. Yeah, and then I'm commented down there, some super moments, your great turn in talk times and your clear student behavior expectations. So those were my notes. I wanted to start your thoughts by just asking you if what was one thing that you thought went well in the lesson.
I think that they really enjoyed doing the makey boxes. We had tried to do them once before and it was a complete flop. The boxes didn't have all of the pieces we needed, and so it kind of turned into chaos. So then this time we went through and made sure that the boxes had everything, and that as we were pulling them to use them in the classroom, I made sure and triple checked them, because before I trusted that they got put back the way they were supposed to, and that was a mistake on my part. So I thought they had a lot of fun with it this time, and I was thankful that most of them got to experience it. I did, after looking back and thinking about my lesson, I realized that a few students were struggling, and so I hadn't made enough rounds to go through and to kind of check on them, because I did have one group that unfortunately didn't get the full experience. And so later in the day, we went back and did that together to make sure that they got to experience the conductivity and to do the whole thing. I felt bad that they didn't do it the first time.
Yes. Well, okay. So would you say, was there anything other than what you just said? Is there anything else that you would have liked to have gone differently, or that didn't go the way you planned or expected in the lesson?
Yes. I was a little frazzled that morning and didn't get my objective written on the board. Typically my objective is written on the board and I'm able to go back and reference that, and we bring it up as a point whenever we're discussing what we're doing. And I realized right as I was starting my lesson that it wasn't written on the board, and I just panicked and didn't go write it on the board. And I feel like had I had it on the board for everyone to see and for me to reference back to, that they would have had a little more clear path to their learning and understood a little bit better why we were doing what we were doing.
Okay, I was gonna hopefully bring that up if you didn't bring it up. So that was, would you say that's an unusual occurrence that
Yes.
not have the objective posted, that you normally have the objective posted. Okay. Okay.
It's
And
normally next to the chalkboard and I just missed it.
right. Right. Okay. Okay. And you normally refer back to it to help the students make those connections. They're used to you doing that. And even at the end of the lesson, I know lots of times at the end of the lesson, you know, I might go back and ask the students, did we meet our objective at the end of the lesson? And the students are, you know, if they don't know what the objective is, then there's no way for them to know whether it was met. So that's also a good way to just close out the lesson is let's look at our objective again. And did we meet our objective? Did we do what we said we were going to do? So,
yes.
Okay, good, good. So you normally handwrite that objective up on the board?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a little section to the side where typically it's written. I have not referenced back to it at the end of my lesson as the closing. That's a really great idea, and I'm going to keep that in my toolbox.
Okay. Okay. Have you considered, it's a bit more work, and it maybe at the beginning, you know, kind of front loading here, but might save you later. Or perhaps maybe an aide or someone could do it for you for future reference. But sometimes it's good to have those objectives typed and then reuse them from even year to year if your objective stays relatively the same for the lesson, you know, and then you're just kind of posting it rather than you having to actually remember to write it. Or if you had a sub or something like that, the objective is still able to be on the board. So just another thought.
That would have saved me if I had it somewhere that I could just quickly grab it and stick it up there.
Right, right, yeah. Right. Okay, great, excellent. Well, as you reflect back about the lesson, I'm sure it's gone through your mind and you've replayed it. I know I always do. But yes. As you reflected back on your lesson, is there something that you're learning that you could carry forward for next time or continue?
Yes, I really like whenever we're doing the turn and talks in my classroom, but I feel like they don't always go the direction that I intend. Like, I wish that I had a better plan for them because I feel like the students either get off task or they're not really going down the path that I intended them to go when they're talking to one another. So I would like to carry that forward, that I'm going to continue to use those turn and talks where they're sharing with a neighbor, but I feel like I need to find a better way to do that. Okay.
Okay. I would agree. I think the turn and talk is a real strength of yours. And it seems that that kind of came naturally in the flow of the lesson. You know, it didn't feel awkward at all. It just kind of flowed during the lesson, and that was a natural occurrence for you to say, hey, turn and talk to your neighbor about whatever. I think maybe one thing that could maybe help with that is, have you looked at Bloom's taxonomy? And maybe even, I know I have it somewhere. I can even give you a copy. I have like a template even, and it kind of has some question starters on it that uses the verbs that you would want to use to get to those higher order thinking questions. And like I said, it's kind of like a little template, a little question starter, and I had it taped on a clipboard or something like that. But you might want to reference Bloom's taxonomy questions, look at those, or not the questions, but the verbs, and see if you can't use those to help you write the questions.
Okay, that's a great idea.
And maybe even pre-planning them, like when you're doing your lesson plan, think about the objective of the lesson. What is it that you're wanting the kids to know at the end? And what's a question that I can ask that relates to the objective that's going to dig a little deeper? Plan that ahead of time and write it down for yourself rather than relying on just off the cuff.
Okay.
So, okay. Well, what was, while we're talking about objective, what was the objective for this lesson?
I had just intended for the students to explore conductivity and to be able to determine if a human could be a conductor. because we had talked briefly about that, you know, metal would be a conductor. And so after the section of the lesson that you saw, we went on and we tested some other things, a plastic cup, a glass cup, a
Great.
spoon. There were several other things that they tested whenever they did that. But I really wanted them to think about, could they be a conductor? Because you think about all these inanimate objects, and those objects, we know we can just test them, but I didn't think that they probably had ever thought of themselves as one. And so I thought that that would help them really save that knowledge that it could be more things than we expect, and that even our bodies could be a conductor of electricity.
Awesome. So did anybody ever bring up or use the example or say anything about when you can shock each other, or having been shocked before, or kind of that static or anything, you know, of electricity or anything like that? No?
We talk about that, but that would be a good follow-up. We're going to continue working on conductivity in this unit. And so I feel like that would be something good that I could bring up to them that would also relate back to that. You are conducting electricity when you do that.
And maybe even part of the experiment could be how to produce the electricity. I couldn't think of the word produce.
Yeah.
How to produce the electricity. You know, there's certain things that you as the person can rub your feet against that will work, and certain ones that won't work, and hypothesize that.
Yeah. We could go down to the gym and drag our feet around, and
right.
You know, then right in the cafeteria where there's the tile, and it's not going to work there, but it would work in the gym.
Grass outside. That, you know, try all different. Yeah. Yes. Excellent. Okay. Well, awesome. Okay. Well, going from here, what are some things, some actions that we can set now together that I could expect to see the next time I walk through? You know, what are some steps that you could take that would help you for the next time?
I feel like getting my objectives typed would be a really good step, because that would keep me more organized, and it would be easier to just put that up there rather than taking the time to write it. And it also might be easier for my students to read rather than my handwriting. If I'm in a rush, you know, when you're rushing, your handwriting's not quite as neat. So having it typed would probably be helpful. And I really would like to get a copy of the Bloom's taxonomy and those question stems from you, because I feel like that would be really good to keep in my planning book, or even a copy up at the front of the room with me, just so I have that to reference back to.
Great. Great. Okay. What do you think about, I will get you what the question stems that I talked about. Do you think it'll be fairly easy or simple to pre-plan those questions? Do you think you know, I was trying to think, as you're planning them, or when you have them planned, do you think, will you remember? I know I always put them on a sticky note, and would honestly, I had them stuck in the corner of the board. And so it was visible for me. I mean, it's not like it's dark handwriting, and it's not very big. The kids, whatever. So it would be in the corner of the board, so I could see it, and it would remind me. And then as I asked them, I just took them off. Now you seem to don't have an issue forgetting to ask. I did it for two reasons. One, to remind me to ask the questions, and then two, to remember the higher order question that I wanted to ask.
Right.
How do you think you're going to be able to make sure that your questions are a deeper, go into that level of rigor?
Using a sticky note on the board would be good, but I feel like I have so many things hanging up there already that that's probably not a very good option for me. I do have the cart at the front of the room that I oftentimes will put my supplies on for while I'm teaching. So perhaps I could use an index card or something like that on that cart. Or would it be okay if I even just wrote them on the board? Like, is that a problem if the students see them before I ask them?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
So,
Even if I had just put them on the board as like, these are going to be the questions we're going to think about today. So when I'm introducing my objective, could I introduce those as well so the students knew what was coming and maybe could come up with a good answer to that question before I asked it?
absolutely. And they might have a moment of whatever time during the lesson that the answer occurs to them. You know, that's an awesome aha moment for them. And rather than you just telling them the answer to the question per se, that makes them feel more like they discovered the answer during the lesson. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't think giving them the question ahead of time is bad. I don't think giving them the question gives them the answer, so to speak. I mean,
Right.
you want them to come up with the answer to that question. So yeah, I think I don't see a problem with that. I would be very curious for you to try it and see how it goes.
Well, let's put that down as my action so that next time I'll have my higher order thinking questions written on the board. I don't know that I have a good place right now, so I'll go in the room and kind of look around and decide where I think would be a better place and kind of let you know so that the next time you come in, you'll know where to look for them.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, and I will get you what I told you I would get you, the Bloom's taxonomy, those question stems that are based off of that.
Okay.
So I'll get that for you and put it in your box. And then, yeah, I think that's good. I was just double checking. I think that is a great plan and goal for next time is just to work on the rigor of the questions. I think that's excellent. So
Okay.
I hope you felt good about the lesson for the most part. So I think that, like I said, I think the kids enjoyed it and it was a good lesson. I always enjoy coming into your room. So it's very organized. You have everything very tidy in there and very clean and organized. And I like that. So I think that makes the kids feel more comfortable as well.
I think so too. And I just feel like the more chaos that's happening in the room, the more chaotic the kids kind of act sometimes. Like they react to their environment. When there's too much going on around them, then they're going to kind of, I don't know, be frazzled.
I agree. Okay, so I don't announce or schedule per se the walkthroughs,
Right. Yes.
but probably within the next couple of weeks, just to give you an idea, just some sort of time frame. I like to be a little bit specific on when I'm expecting you to make a plan of action. Okay.
That'll be perfect.
All right. Thank you. See you later.
Thank you.